this world. But yes, these pit stops, I find them to be very beneficial. Now, today, I want to share with you a hadith here that we have, where it says that the Imam, he speaks about the aql of a Muslim individual, okay? Now, obviously, when we hear the word aql, the first thing that comes to mind is the mind, obviously, and something that's theoretical, something that's intellectual, something that's philosophical, something like that, right? Now, what if the Imam was to tell us that no Muslim's aql is complete unless they have these 10 things? Then you would say, okay then, obviously these 10 things are going to be something related to theology, understanding, and so on, correct? But I want to go through this list, inshallah, and in the end we'll discuss a little bit how many of these were actually intellectual. But the Imam, he says, لا يتم عقل امرئ مسلم حتى تكون فيه عشر خصال. This is going to be our pit stop tonight, to remind ourselves, no matter how good we have an understanding of the faith, no matter how good we can lecture, no matter how good we can recite, no matter everything that we do, that's one side. But what is going to get us to the destination is something else. Yeah, that is supposed to be the result of the motivations that we get from the minbar, from the recitation, and so on and so forth. So 10 things that will guarantee that this person, his aql is complete, the Imam says. In other words, if a person is lacking these, that means they didn't make it, they didn't understand it the way it's supposed to, they didn't get it right. Okay? So let's see, it's going to be talking about probably Tawheed, it's going to be talking about Ma'ad, Nubuwah, Imamah, probably these things, right? No. It says, the first one, that a sign that an individual got it right, understood it properly. Their aql is kamil. Is al-khayru minhu ma'mul. Number one on the list is that when this person is, let's say, remembered, they are remembered in a way that there is hope that some khair is going to come from this person to us. In other words, I'm a person that when there's mention of me, when people remember me, what's the first thing that comes to their mind? That, oh, this is a person that khair comes from. Al-khayru minhu ma'amul. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm going to be good so that when people remember me, they remember me in a good way. Shaitan, I hate this guy. Shaitan has a way of fooling us even in the most lofty concepts. Al-khayru minhu ma'mul means that the person is the type of person that if people were to remember this person, what's the first thing that comes to mind? That there's khair in this person. Ma'mul comes from amal, hope. There's hope that there's going to be khair coming from the person. Right? This doesn't mean that, oh, I'm a good person so that people remember me. And I don't care about the people. I care about Allah and I care about whoever else is up there. This is a byproduct, inshallah. That's how we look at things. These people that are out here that might think of me in a good way or in a bad way, guess what? On the Day of Judgment, they can't get me a lollipop. Okay? They can't do anything for me. So I'm not after making sure people remember me as a good person. I'm trying to be the type of person that people have hope and good coming from me. A sign of that is when they remember me as a khayyir, as a person who khair comes from. One guy was lecturing once somewhere. He's not a scholar or anything, but apparently he's a good speaker. And so he said, yeah, I like it when I go places and he actually said the cologne he wears too, it's a very expensive one. But he said that I like it if I go somewhere that people know I was there because they smell my scent. Habibi, you wear the perfume or the cologne because Allah has said when you go to meet your brothers, I was going to say brothers and sisters, but brothers, if you're going to meet your brothers, you meet them smelling good. When you pray salah, one of the greatest etiquettes of salah is to wear perfume, right? Yeah, there are people who, when they want to pray salah, they spray on a cologne. Why not multiply my salah by, 50 times, 70 times? Why not? Free money, yeah? So, you wear it for that reason. On the side, yes, people are going to notice when you pass by that, oh, it smells like him. But this can't be the main reason, brothers and sisters. You see how shaitan wiggles his way in. Yes. This is, brothers and sisters, al-khayru minhu ma'amul, when we say, or this hadith says, this is one of the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actually. What do we say in dua of Rajab? Ya man arjuhu li kulli khayr. Oh, the one who, when it comes to having hope in him, I have hope in him for all the good that can come. Yeah, this is, we're trying to be on the same wavelength as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously, no one's saying we're God or anything. That was Fir'aun a long time ago. But we're trying to be God-like, not shaitan-like, obviously. And so with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only good comes from Allah. If anything bad comes, it's either something that's relatively bad, not absolute bad. For me, it might be something I don't like. And Allah talks about this in the Quran. He says, if something comes to you that you don't like sometimes, that which you don't like is better for you. And so, asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khayrun lakum. That there's a chance sometimes that things that you don't like, are distasteful to you, are going to be things that are better for you. So we do our part and we let Allah do His part. But al-khayru minhu ma'amul, number one. A sign that a person has understood Islam properly is that they're going to be the type that people have hope in good coming from them, not bad coming from them. Which brings me to the second one. What does the Imam say? وَالشَّرُّ مِنْهُ مَأْمُونَ. That was ma'amul. This is ma'amun. We all know what aman means, right? Amniya, amniyat, and all of these things mean safety. That, okay, sometimes good doesn't come from somebody, but at least be the type that bad doesn't always come from you. Yeah? That people, when they remember you, this is also a sign of it, people when they remember you, the first thing that comes to mind is, I got to stay away from him. Don't be the person in the center. This is an interesting story I said once in one of the centers that I used to go to a lot. And so I knew the brothers and the community very well. There's one brother, from the older generation, that felt like apparently he's going to Jannah, not everybody else though. And so what happens is, he's the one that is always, everyone's running away from, everyone's afraid of. Because when he talks, usually it's going to hurt your feelings. Okay? Now, I'm speaking once, and I see him walking, like he's sitting in the back. I'm like, this is a good opportunity. Okay? This is a good opportunity to, in passing, indirectly, let him know that, look, you don't want to leave this dunya being known as the person that everyone wants to run away from. Right? Don't be a person who is asharru minhu ghayru ma'mun, that people are not safe from his shar. Yes? So what did I say in the lecture? Yeah, I said, brothers and sisters, we have to be careful. Don't let the center be the place that most of your sins happen in because you break people's hearts, because you backbite, because you're mean. Don't be the one that everyone wants to run away from in the center. Talked about that a little bit, okay? Are you with me? After the lecture, everyone comes, shake Maulana's hand, all of that stuff, right? Assalamu alaikum, thank you, taqabbal Allah, this, that. He came up to me. He whispered in my ear, he said, Ahsant Maulana, very good. These people have to hear this. We're wasting our time, it seems, sometimes you feel like you're wasting your time. This was all for you, brother. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I supposed to say right now? Should I say it? Should I not? Habibi, this is for you, not for the rest. The rest are fine. Yeah, I didn't say anything, obviously, but all in all, yes, we don't want to be the one who asharru minhu ghayru ma'mun. A person who got it right has understood, okay, if my khair isn't going to reach somebody, at least let me make sure my shar doesn't reach them. Right? Who is that type of person? Who is that person that only we can expect shar from? Shaitan. The exact opposite of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. I'll tell you a story I read a long time ago, or I don't know, it was in a lecture or something that I heard. It's an interesting one. There's a good lesson in it. That one of these great ulama, he had a vision, he had something, whatever it was, a disclosure that happened, and he sees shaitan. And so he has a discussion and debate with shaitan. And shaitan is like, hey, can you prove God to me? What if I don't believe in a God? This alim, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna get you right now, shaitan. All them people you've misguided in throughout the ages, now's my chance to sit you down in your place. I will prove to you that Allah exists. And he goes through different arguments, and shaitan is playing devil's advocate. And so back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. After like 3-4 hours, shaitan says, I'm convinced. Thank you for proving Allah to me. Yes? Now, the part I didn't mention was that before all of this happened, before this dream or vision that this individual had, he had a question about one of the verses of the Quran. The verse that says, إِنَّمَا يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ. That, oh people, shaitan sees you from an angle that you don't see him. He gets you where you wouldn't expect it. And he was thinking to himself, what does this mean? And then he had this vision of the shaitan, and he debated shaitan for 3 hours and proved to him Allah exists. Now, you tell me, brothers and sisters, was shaitan after something special here? Was he after actually learning? Does shaitan even not believe in Allah? Trust me, shaitan believes in Allah more than me and you. Okay? Shaitan's upset that insan, Adam, had to take away like the spotlight. Otherwise, he doesn't care about us. He cares about Allah. He doesn't care about us, but he didn't listen to Allah when he was supposed to. That's why he's an outcast. Otherwise, he knows Allah exists. Yeah, he probably loves Allah as well. And he fears Allah. On the Day of Judgment, the Quran says, when we're all like, oh, there's the guy, shaitan, he misguided us. He's like, I'm out of here, so long. Right? And then he says, Inni akhafullah. Verily, I fear Allah. Well, you all got problems, not me. Well, I mean, he's going to have a problem too, obviously, but what was wrong with you? So no, shaitan, the last person I want to prove God to is who? Shaitan. Right? Well, guess what? Shaitan turns around and tells this guy, thank you for proving God to me, and thank you for giving me 3 or 4 hours of your day. Ash-sharru minhu ma'amun, a person who has got it right, understands that their shar will not reach others. What does that mean? Because shaitan is all shar. You can never expect anything good from shaitan. So I don't want to be anywhere close to that wavelength. An example of that being, even if you debate him and spend 3 hours and you prove God to him, even that's shar. And so this great alim understood, when the Quran says, إِنَّمَا يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ, him and his boys, they see you from the angle you don't see them, and they get you where you least expect it. It's like this. He might not even push me into sin sometimes, but as a person who could have done so much more for my akhirah, I might fall behind on certain things because of him. Yes? Ash-sharru minhu ma'mun. Number 2. Number 3. The Imam says, يَسْتَكْثِرُ قَلِيلَ الْخَيْرِ مِنْ غَيْرِهِ. I like this one. يَسْتَكْثِرُ. He considers kathir and great and abundant the little bit of khair and good that others do. Okay? It's interesting. I was walking in Qom years ago, and there is this Ayatollah Mir Baqiri. He's famous in Iran. He was also walking in the street. Yeah, these are the celebrities we see, okay? Back home. And so back then he wasn't as famous, but now he's on TV all the time. And anyway, he was passing by. I want to show that this is due to humility, that they consider the little bit others do of good, they see it as a lot. And so I saw him from a distance, and he got closer, I got closer, and I passed by, and salam alaikum majra. That's like, salam alaikum. I said salam to him. This guy stopped, turned completely towards me. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I'm just like, is that me? You're talking to? Who are you talking? I just said a little salam. He's making it sound like I just gave him something big or... No, it's a form of respect that he was showing, that he was turning his whole body towards me to say wa alaikum assalam. Instead of just passing by wa alaikum assalam, no. He turned, yes. This is due to this person understanding how little they are, how much humility they have. It's as if they're always in the presence of Allah. Anything that smells like Allah, for them is big. If you have somebody you like a lot, and there's a special scent that they have, whenever you smell it, it gets your attention. It's small, but it smells like my Habib. It smells like my beloved. The little bit of good that someone does, I smell it, and there goes my heart again. يَسْتَكْثِرُ قَلِيلَ الْخَيْرِ مِنْ غَيْرِهِ. Who else is like this? Obviously Allah Himself is like this. Yeah? And that famous story that the youth, and by the way, I want the younger guys to listen to this. Every now and then we get upset at our parents, right? Usually they're right. We don't know it until we grow up, right? And you older ones can pay me later. And so when we're younger, yeah, it's hard for us to get along sometimes. Well, that's when Allah is watching, because these are where Allah gives prizes to see how we react, okay? Now, in the story of a young guy, he was passing away during the Prophet's time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet, they call him, and they say, come. They tell the Prophet, come, there's this youth passing away, help him, he's in trouble. Comes, he says, what's going on? He says, I'm seeing a monster come in my direction, and I'm scared and all that. And the Prophet apparently diagnoses the situation. He says that, where's this kid's mother? Right? And so they call the mother. Mother, are you upset at him? She says, yes, I am upset at him. This is called uququl walidain. Not huquq, uququl walidain. To do something so that your parents disown you. They don't like you. They're upset at you. But this, that, I don't care. Imam Sajjad, in one of his du'as, he says, oh Allah, help me to be fair with them and just with them and good with them, even if they've done zulm to me. Not encouraging zulm, but at the end of the day, that is one thing that we have for the parents, it's special. Even if you're 50, 60 years old, super successful, and now they're holding you behind and keeping you behind. No, mashallah, what I've noticed in our Desi communities, I've seen this a lot, that they really respect their elderly. You'll see the guy, he's a doctor, very successful, well off, and then he's wheelchairing his dad wherever he goes. Takes care of him until he passes away. Beautiful, beautiful. And the flip side also, these are things you don't want to mess. This is fire, don't touch it. Yeah, sometimes we make mistakes in life, Allah forgives. These ones are a little more dangerous. Anyway, the Prophet says to the mother, now's not the time for you to be upset with them. He is suffering. And so she forgives her son for whatever it was that he had done to her before. Forgives him because of the Holy Prophet. Now, the Prophet tells this kid, he says, okay, do this dua. And this is the part I want to show you. That yes, that Allah is like this. If there's something little, He makes it big. The Prophet says to the kid, he says, recite this again and again. Ya man yaqbalul yasir wa ya'fu anil kathir. Ighfir minni al-kathir. Right? Or iqbal minni al-yasir wa'fu anil al-kathir. Oh Allah, oh the one who takes and accepts the little bit that we do. What's 100 million compared to infinity? Like zero. Am I right? Allah is giving us infinity, not for 10 million years of obedience. For 60, 70, I don't know about you guys, I'll be around for like 150 years. That's about it, right? Allah is giving us infinity for that. So anything we do to deserve it is still qaleel, it's still a little bit. The dua says, he says, do this dua, oh the one who accepts the little bit, but forgives the great and abundant. Accept from me the little bit, and forgive of me the great bad things that I've done in life. He says, repeat this, tell me what you see. He says, the monster is gone. Now, something better is coming towards me. And eventually this youth passes away. يَسْتَكْثِرُ قَلِيلَ الْخَيْرِ مِنْ غَيْرِهِ. Number one. So number three. Number four, though, it'll be the flip side. What do you think the flip side is? يَسْتَقِلُّ كَثِيرَ الْخَيْرِ مِنْ نَفْسِهِ. He or she considers little, considers qaleel, the great and abundant good that they do themselves. So I'm considering the good others do, even though it's a little bit, I consider it a lot. But the good that I do, it might be a lot, but I consider it as a little bit. Like someone might say, what's wrong with this person? This is a divine person. This is a person whose aql has completed. This is a person who got it right. You know why? They understand there is no limit. No matter how much I do, is there any time that I can say it's enough? The moment I say, oh, we're good, you stop right there. But you could have gone more. It's funny. In this dunya, the guy is super wealthy, right? But he still wants more. I've seen guys that are in their 50s, 60s maybe, right? They're collecting sneakers still, all right? And they've got like 20 pairs of 4s, 30 pairs of 5s, the Jordans, right? Some of them real ugly, by the way. I don't know what's going on. All the different colorways. You're like, Habibi, how many feet do you have? How many parties are you going to go to? And then the guy answers you. He says, some of these will never see the light of day. They're in my closet. They're a collection. Like, so do you know people need shoes out there? Yeah? What are you going to do? You're going to bury yourself? But no, the guy still wants more. That's just how we are, brothers and sisters. That's how Allah has made us. And we think we can get our eternity and infinity here. It's somewhere else, right? A person who's understood this will not settle for little. And they'll understand that since infinity is on the other side, no matter how much I do, it's not going to be enough. And so they're obsessed as if they're obsessive, and they don't let it reach a point where they have their OCD about it. But yeah, they're going to be hard working for their akhirah. So anything small that they do or great that they do, they consider it small. Now I want to go a step further. There are some out there who do what they got to do. They don't even see the act at all to say whether it's small or big. Let me give you an example. It's a famous story. I love this story because it has to do with my beloved Allama Tabatabai, rahmatullah alayh. So, one of these ulama goes to Tabatabai once. What's the magnum opus of Tabatabai? Tafsir al-Mizan, 20 volumes. He spent 20 years of his life on that. All right. One of these ulama goes, he says, I saw your dad in my dream, and he's not happy with you, Tabatabai. What? What happened? Why? He says Muhammad Hussein, which was his first name, Muhammad Hussein wrote this book, all this sawab, didn't gift any of it to me. What gives? You know? Now look at Tabatabai's answer. I said we're going a step further now. Sometimes we look at the good deed and we're like, okay, how big or light or small or big is it? Sometimes we don't even see it. He said, oh, I didn't even think there was any sawab for my mizan. Otherwise I would have gifted. And he did that after that. This is what we're talking about, brothers and sisters. This is the strength of faith and iman. When it grows, you go beyond, oh, this is my amal, but it's a big one or a small one, so I shall disregard it. No, they don't even see it because they are just engulfed in something else, which is love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَسْتَقِلُّ كَثِيرَ الْخَيْرِ مِن نَفْسِهِ. Yes. Next one, number 5. Sign of me having got it right. لَا يَسْأَمُ مِن طَلَبِ الْحَوَائِجِ إِلَيْهِ. This one is interesting in its wording. It says that this individual who's understood the priorities, understood Islam the way it really is, they don't get tired of people asking their hajat from that person. People knocking on their door, asking for help, this and that. Sometimes you don't even have what that person needs, right? This one's a tough one, really, It's hard for me to talk about it. But the least is that it's not like when this person comes for help or needs their help, they turn them away and they're angry, like, why are these people coming to me? No, they're like happy that, okay, these people at least feel that I have what they need, and I have been able to establish myself in a way that people feel that I can take care of their needs. What's wrong with that? Alhamdulillah, they knocked on my door. Even the 5 minutes that they took to speak to me, I get rewards for listening to them at least. The smile that I give them, the referral I give them to somebody else that might be able to solve their problem. Alhamdulillah, I was part of this process. I was the channel through which Allah, is helping others. Why not? Even if I don't have what it takes to help them, the fact that I don't get tired and fatigued of that, right? It didn't say that one of the signs is that this person takes care of others' needs. No. It said they don't get tired of people asking them for help, even if they're not going to help them necessarily. It shows that you got it right, because you look at the Ahlul Bayt, that's what they were all about. So it doesn't make sense for me to act differently than Ahlul Bayt, but then think that I got it right. No. Ahlul Bayt were like this. And so, the person doesn't get tired. The secret to it is this hadith now. They know how important it is. That's why they don't get tired of it. And that reminds me of this other hadith that says, and it's like one of those key hadiths, by the way, but I personally don't really, unfortunately, practice it too much, but for whoever can benefit from it, it says, مَا ضَعُفَ بَدَنٌ عَمَّا قَوِيَتْ عَلَيْهِ النِّيَّةِ, that no body, okay, not nobody, no physical body gets tired of that which the intention for that thing is a strong one, right? Even if you are super exhausted, but they tell you they're giving $500 per person outside, and you like have a broken leg, a man's going to be running, right? And he's not going to have a problem. These moms that you hear about, a car fell on her child in a split second. She didn't know what happened, but she flipped the car back over. Like these supernatural things that happen. No, it says that if we understand the importance of something and have a strong resolve and intention to do it, the body will keep up with us. Once again, it's easier said than done. I don't want to sound like I'm a person who actually practices this. But yeah, it just shows that a person like me, my iman isn't there yet. If the iman is there, then this person won't reach a point where they wish that people would not come to them with their hajat. Recite a salawat. All right, number 6. This is not for us Shias, but I'll read it. لا يمل من طلب العلم طول دهره. That this person does not get tired of pursuing knowledge throughout their entire life. Yes, I said it. Us as Shia, we need to learn a little bit more about our faith. Yeah, we need to put the time in. I said this once in Jummah. I got in trouble, I think. So, yeah, good thing I don't live here because I'm about to say it again. I know it's nothing controversial actually. It was Muharram Safar, and like, you know, in the different cities that we have, in the different communities, there's a lot of majalis that happen, not just in the center, house majalis and so on and so forth. And it's beautiful, these 2 months of Muharram and Safar, the way that the people have this motivation is really something that, you know, we take pride in. Look at the Arba'in walk and how many millions go, and look at other things that happen, not so many people go. So it's a good thing. So in Jummah, I said this once. I said, okay, brothers and sisters, we have like 100 majlises throughout Muharram and Safar, throughout the community, right? I said, this shows that in the other 10 months of the year, we can have 100 classes on learning the Quran and Hadith and these things. We can't do that then, right? That's 5 times more time, right? 10 months versus 2 months, yeah? But guess what? It never happened. Because apparently the 2 months are supposed to take care of everything, yeah? So, la yamallu. No, the Imams are very clear about this. That if you're a proper follower of us, you're the most educated, yeah? The only time we will get educated, it seems, sometimes, usually, I'm not going to say always, but usually, is when we want to refute others. Or if we want to prove to others that my Imam, Mera Mawla, is the one who fought while your Mawla ran up the mountain. And so that's when we learn history. I want to teach them a lesson. And, okay, so what if you have the best Imam? How much have we learned about them and followed them? Yeah, this is something the Imams have said, not me. Yes. لا يمل من طلب العلم. Now someone might say knowledge. What does knowledge mean here? Usually, I'll just quote one of our scholars, when in our hadiths, when it talks about ilm and knowledge, it's talking about ilm of the deen. Yes, other knowledges that we attain, the sciences for a halal living, for a proper livelihood, these are part of the wajibat that we have to do. You can't make a halal living unless you gain a skill, you go into some business, or you learn some science, right? And get a degree or whatever it is that we have to do in this day and age. Okay. That is something that we need to do so we can have a halal living. But the knowledge that's wajib on us in and of itself, what is that? It's knowledge of deen. And that's what the minbar is all for. And all the programs that we hold, and all the classes that we hold are all for. So this, لا يمل من طلب العلم, it's not talking about a medical degree necessarily. That is not wajib in and of itself. That is wajib because of the halal living being wajib on me. But the wajib one that's wajib in and of itself is the knowledge of the deen. Now, do we graduate from this school of deen? No, we don't. It says طُولَ دَهْرِهِ, entire life. Yeah? So it's not just the Maulana that has to know. Yeah? we need to learn certain things, obviously, that the people need, but that means that now the people have to come and demand it and learn it and even support sometimes. We see the situation that we're in right now in our centers and whatnot. It's because the demand necessarily isn't always the educational side of things. And so whoever's in charge of the center of the scholars, they just do what the people want, and then they become stagnant in the other things. And slowly, the knowledge that they had attained before isn't used, and it slowly disappears. So it's the community also that has to step up. The scholar has to have studied well. The community also has to try to get more than just the conventional programs as well, so that we can be an example of لا يمل من طلب العلم طول دهره. You know what the worst problem is? The worst problem is when the learned one comes and tells us something, but it goes against what we've gotten used to. And we tell them to get lost. And that's the worst of them all. Anyway, that's which number were we on? 6, I think it was. Number 7. الفقر في الله أحب إليه من العز في عدوه. That poverty, now I want you to pay attention to this, because if we get it wrong, we're going to be losers in life. Poverty in the way of Allah is more beloved to this person than wealth in the way of his enemy, Allah's enemy. So it's not saying poverty is good, not having is good. We don't have that. Our imams, they were pretty good. They were doing pretty good, actually. Imam Hussein, he went to Karbala. What did he do? He bought the whole land. Imam Sajjad, every day, I don't know how many sheep that they would slaughter. It was his property. He was giving to the poor. Imam Ali, by the way, Ayatollah Makarim, he'd done the math. This is before Islamic Revolution. He'd done the math in God knows how many years ago it was. I think it was more than 50 years ago. I remember seeing the number. He had converted the wealth Imam Ali had generated in his time. Because back then you dug wells, it's like an oil field. It's like an oil rig you found, right? He had done the math and converted it. It was a very big number that Imam Ali had. But what was he doing with that money? That's the question. Was he taking care of himself? Was he taking care of the ummah? He was taking care of the ummah. Funds are necessary to do anything in this day and age, all right? And so poverty itself is not something that is encouraged. There's some hadiths here and there that have been misunderstood. Al-faqru fakhri. That my honor is faqr, one hadith says. But no, that is a special type of faqr. Otherwise, we have these kinds of things, a good number of them. It says, Al-faqru fillah ahabbu ilayh. That to this individual who's gotten it right because they know akhirah overtakes dunya, and if I'm going to be suffering here, it's better than suffering there. If they have to choose between keeping Allah happy and being poor versus not choosing Allah but being wealthy, they choose Allah and poverty. Not that you're supposed to choose poverty all the time, but if it comes to a point where you have to choose that one. Why? Because I got it right. My aql is complete. In other words, if you're a philosopher, the teacher of all philosophers, but you don't do this, you ain't got no aql. So it looks like the definition for aql is a little different, Islamically speaking. We'll get to that. All right. Al-faqr fillah ahabbu ilayhi min al-ghina. And here, I'll share a story that I heard myself from one of these greats once. He was saying that during the Shah's time, before the revolution, so they were a tyrannical, regime back before the revolution, and that the king of Iran, he had a judiciary and he had judges, and they would go by Islamic law, So at least the majority of the time. And so they were recruiting people that were Hausa trained. He said that they had put an advertisement, or whatever they call them, and they put them on the boards in the colleges, whatever, a flyer that we are recruiting. And the Hausa gives a stipend to the students, right? Which is a very minimal thing. It doesn't really cover much. And so he said our monthly stipend, now back then, he said it was 3 tomans. 3 tomans. And 3 meaning only 3, not like 300, 3,000. He said they were offering 300 tomans per month for this job. Wow. That's 100 times more, you know that, right? That means if I'm making $3,000 a month, it's as if I'm making $300,000 a month. That's crazy, isn't it? Okay. He said some people went and joined and worked under the tyrannical Shah of their time. It's a hard one, man. I mean, if you are going to do haram, make it worth it. This might have been worth it, but you know what I'm saying? Some people, they do haram, but it's not worth it. Yeah, some of these guys, their math was pretty good. But this is what it's talking about. Yeah, you have a choice between staying a little broke, yeah, but it's a short period of time. We have a saying in Farsi that Sad Sala Aval Sakhte. The first 100 years of life are hard. The rest will be easy, meaning we're going to die. Okay? And so they're like, okay, you know what? We'll hang in there. Yeah, if you have a choice not to be poor, then obviously you go. And Allah's satisfaction is there, you go for it. But in this case, yeah, they've got it right. And then this next one is similar to the previous one. It says, الذل في الله أحب إليه من العز في عدوه. So that was poverty versus wealth. This is izzat and honor and dignity versus lowliness. Zillat. Okay? It says this person prefers a zillat, but in the way of Allah, more and over the honor that the enemies of Allah can give this person. Who taught us that? Imam Hussein taught us that. Hayhat min al-dhillah means that you all might see me as zalil. But because I'm aziz in Allah's eyes, I could care less about what you think. Yeah? And now we see today, who talks about Yazid? Who talks about Imam Hussein? No one talks about Yazid. Nobody talks, he's a nobody. No one talks about Muawiyah. No one wants to know where he's buried. Yeah? Everyone wants to go to Imam Hussein though. Izzat, Allah gives izzat. The Quran says, فَإِنَّ لِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ جَمِيعًا. All izzah belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, this person, for us going to school and all of that, and peer pressure and all that kind of stuff, and when I was growing up, I remember still hurts me. Yeah? The scars are still there. They would call me religious boy. Ha 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 ha. Right? Now those guys are like making cabinets. Yeah? Alhamdulillah, I'm happy that I was able to go and learn what I wanted to learn and yeah, that kind of thing. They would make fun of me growing up. That's just an example I'm giving you so that you see younger guys, the peer pressure and all that kind of stuff, don't let it get to you. Why? Because izzah is in Allah's hands. Before you know it, the guy's a nobody and you're somebody special, inshallah. Yeah? You choose izzah in Allah's way over izzah in the way of others and the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's interesting. These people who laugh at us today, the Quran says we're going to laugh at them on the Day of Judgment. It actually says that. Yeah, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا كَانُوا مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يَضْحَكُونَ. That yeah, the people that were wrongdoers, they would laugh at the people who had iman. But guess what? فَالْيَوْمِ. But as for today, meaning the Day of Judgment, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنَ الْكُفَّارِ يَضْحَكُونَ. They're laughing at the disbelievers now. The ones who knew the truth but turned away from it. They're laughing at them now. And to add insult to injury, they're doing it while عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ يَنْظُرُونَ. While they're sitting back, reclined on them couches. Not just normal laugh. You're sitting back comfortable on the couches laughing at the kuffar now. Yeah. Apparently that's one of the blessings of Jannah. It feels good. And these people are now in Jahannam. And then I waited and I was patient and now I get this reward. Next one. And this one's pretty relevant to today in the selfie age. Al-khumulu ashha ilayhi min ash-shuhra. Ashha comes from shahwa. Shahwa means desire. It says being unknown for this person who's got it right, whose aql is complete. Being unknown is more desirable for this person than being famous, shuhra. Now it's all about the views. Now it's all about the clicks and the likes, obviously, right? It's all about the selfies. It's all about the world knowing who I am. What are you? I'm an entrepreneur and all that kind of stuff. All right, good for you. Why does the world have to know what you're up to? Yeah, sometimes you make a living off of, making videos that are not haram, no problem. Sometimes no. For me, what has value in and of itself is to be known. This all while, when we look at our greats, they didn't want to be known. Guys, there have been cases of ulama. There's one case I can remember right now. He became a marja taqleed. When you become marja, you're in the spotlight now. You're famous. Money comes through you and goes out. And a lot of other things. He couldn't handle it. He was upset. He died. Ayatollah Bahjat, when Ayatollah, the great Iraqi, passed away, they asked him to become the marja instead of him. He said, no, I don't want to be marja. There's enough marja already. Why should everyone that passes away, another one fill his place? There's already 5 or 6. Let's just keep those. They had to beg him. Eventually, I don't know what happened that he accepted, but he wasn't accepting. But if it's me, I'll say, at the end of the day, and I'll probably make my neck a little crooked too, because it's more humble like this, right? I feel like I will do this for Islam because I know Islam needs me right now. Kiss my hand. Okay? These ones are running away from it. Why? Because this person, those of you who've been engaged before in the past, when you're engaged, not when you get married and all that, because things are normal after that. But in the beginning, when you like each other a lot, those times, you don't want anyone else to be around you. You always want to be with the one that you are in love with, right? You want to talk to them and all of that. You don't want to go to people's houses anymore. You don't want to go out with your friends that much anymore. You want to be with them. But when others are always there and taking time from you, it makes you upset because you're taking me away from my beloved. These people, they've reached a point where it's all about Allah. Now I have to accept the responsibility that's not necessary, so that what happens? So that I lose that opportunity. I have to be more with my beloved and talk to him. We would go to Ayatollah Bahjat's house when we were young, when we were kids. He would come out of his house and move to his masjid, walk to his masjid. It was like a 7-minute walk maybe. He would come out and he wouldn't talk to anybody, just Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr. Wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr. He was always reciting the Quran, all the way there, all the way back. For me, if I have 3 people following me, 4 people, 10 people following me, I'm like, whoa, hey, you take a picture of me. Make sure that you tag me here and all that kind of stuff. Yeah? That's where we're at right now. We want everyone to know. But here it says, Al-Khumulu Ashha. They know, as I said before, all of the world, if they like me, they can't give me a lollipop on the other side. They can't do anything for me, I'm sorry. And so that's why I'm not going to give them that much value. I don't care if they know me or not know me. Yeah? There's a very, very awesome story of Shaykh Abbas Qummi. Who is Shaykh Abbas Qummi? Of course we know who he is, right? Right? The one who wrote Mafatihul Jinan. This person, I read this story from him once, very interesting, that he was leading salat in Masjid al-Goharshad. Anyone been to Mashhad? That big, have you guys been to Masjid? So you have the golden dome and you have another big green turquoise dome. That's a big masjid. Masjid al-Goharshad it's called. It's a big masjid. And it just extends into the courtyard of the haram of Imam Rida alayhi salam. So what happened was, he says, he was visiting Mashhad once, they made him lead salat. He's leading salat al-Maghrib. And so what happened was, someone was late and they said, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. When people are late for Jamaat, they want to join Jamaat. And then they add a verse to give you guilt if you don't wait for them as the Imam. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Verily Allah is with those who are sabur and have sabr. In other words, Maulana, if you get up right now from ruku, you're not one of the sabirin. Okay? So, what happened was, he said, I heard someone from way far back. Ya Allah, inna Allah ma'as sabirin. So I waited and he joined and all that. After Maghrib was over, Shaykh Abbas Qummi, he's supposed to lead Isha too, right? He gets up and leaves. Yeah. Everyone's like, Maulana, what happened? Why? He said, I was leading Maghrib and then I heard someone say, Ya Allah, and I could tell they were very far away. And this thought crossed my mind that, wow, what a big crowd is behind me. He said, I'm not going to pray Isha anymore and I'm out of here. This is how worried they were to not have a pure intention. Compare that to now. Right? And us Maulanas even aren't, safe from this danger of trying to be known and all that kind of stuff. Please invite me again. I'm just kidding. I don't have time. Brother got happy for a second. And finally, the last one, which is the hardest one, and I don't even know how to explain this one. It says, لا يرى أحدا إلا قال هو خير مني وأتقى. that this person who has a complete aql, they say, anyone they see, they say to themselves that this person is better than me and more pious than me. This one's a tough one. Because this is a disposition that one has to develop over time, that they feel like this. Yeah. And it might not even be something that we can actively do to develop in ourselves. It just seems like if we continue the path of Allah, Allah gives us this light that through which we see things the way they really are, and we feel that we're the lowest of the low. Imam Sajjad, in one of his du'as, he says, Ana, oh Allah, Ana aqallul aqallin. I'm the lowest of the low. But Imam Sajjad, you're the highest of the high. What are you talking about? He's like, I'm not comparing myself to the rest. I can't even see the rest. I only see Allah, and I know that everything else, even if it's an imam, is lowest of the low compared to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we're talking about here. Something along these lines. لا يرى أحدا إلا قال هو خير مني وأتقى. These 10, the Imam says, are the signs that a person's aql is complete. Now, how many of these were theoretical? How many of these were theoretical? Philosophical, theological. The only one that we had really was لا يمل من طلب العلم. They pursue knowledge till the grave. That's about it. That's all we had. The rest was all amal, 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 action. Something that you do, and you're careful about. It just shows that Islamically, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to end on this note, Islamically speaking, it looks like the aql has a different definition than what the secular world tells us aql means. In the secular world, aql equals information, data. The more you know, the more aql, the more ilm you have. But in an from an Islamic perspective, when you look at the different literature that we have, the one who doesn't act on what they know, they're not aqil. They're not alim. And so they came to Imam, to our first Imam, Imam Ali salawatullah alayhi. And they said to him that, yeah, Muawiyah is very smart in aqil. He said, no, don't say that. He's not. He is, cunning and all of that kind, but he doesn't have. Why? Because obviously he's going against what this is telling him to do, and he's not doing it. So a person is aqil, the one who acts. This shows how important it is. That's why a philosopher, theologian, alim, sometimes might not make it, but then you have an illiterate Bedouin, all of a sudden wakes up one morning, he can read the whole Quran. Because Allah has given him nur, and that's where this hadith makes the most sense. Al-ilmu nurun yaqdifuhu Allahu fi qalbi man yasha. That real knowledge is a nur that Allah casts in somebody's heart, not what you get from the books. And that is a preliminary step to acting. And once you act according to what Allah wants, as a result, Allah shines a light in us. And that is real knowledge and ma'rifah. So all these wajibs and harams Allah has put for us. Sometimes we say, oh, one night is not going to be 1,000 nights. Oh, it's just this place that I'm going. Oh, it's that person. It's just this one time I'm listening. It's this mixed gathering that I'm going to. Yeah? All made up and stuff, and the non-mahrams might see me, but it's one night. It's okay. All of this stuff, brothers and sisters, these are what we're talking about. Al-ilmu nurun. Allah casts this light as a result of amal. And that's why I become alim, because I have the ilm of Allah now, that Allah has given me. Yes, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to be at least a small example of these teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Salawat. Sallallahu alayka ya Jafar ibn Muhammad, ayyuha as-Sadiq ya ibn Rasulillah. As we are remembering Imam as-Sadiq on this day, as we make it towards the end of the day of today, which according to the calendars, at least based on the moon sightings and all of that, might be the day of the shahadat of the Imam. Just want to share a little bit of the masa'ib of our Imam, that everyone thought that when the Bani Umayyah are gone, that the cousins of the Ahlul Bayt, the Bani Abbas, when they come to power, that things will be a little bit better. That was their slogan. That's what brought them to power. The Bani Abbas came with the slogan of Ar-Rida min Ali Muhammad, that we're coming and we're going to put somebody that Alu Muhammad is happy with. And so as you go through history, you feel like, wow, things are looking very good. But it's the dunya, brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter even if you're the cousins of the Ahlul Bayt. You will still, the dunya can get the best of you. There's no guarantee. And so this bloodthirsty tyrant Mansur, time and time again, he would summon the Imam with the intention to take the Imam's life, they say. But for one reason or another, every time he wouldn't go through with it. But think about it. Every time this Imam has to come, this Imam who is now is a little bit on the older side. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam lived a longer life, had a longer Imamate versus the other Imams. And that's why this maktab, this madhab is attributed to him, the Ja'fari madhab. So one of these times it says that they were so disrespectful to the Imam that he wasn't even able to wear his amama. With a bare head they took him and they've tied him, and so he's being dragged. He keeps falling, getting back up, and he's old. So when he reaches Mansur with tied hands and sweat dripping from his white beard, he says to him, "Don't send this Ibn Rabi', please, to my house anymore to take me in the middle of the night. My family gets worried and he insults me, he slanders me in front of my family. Please don't do that." And it says Mansur kept drawing his sword as if he wants to kill the Imam and keeps sheathing it. This is what he had to. The pressure slowly now is mounting on Imam Sadiq. On another occasion, you've heard that they set fire to his home. And the Imam, they say, he's coming and going and trying to get things better. And as he comes out in one of these times, he says, "Ana ibn a'raq al-thara, ana ibn Ibrahim Khalilullah." You think you can burn me? If Allah doesn't want, the same way Ibrahim wasn't burnt, I won't be burnt either. But the time came, brothers and sisters, where Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, it's time to go. And the poison does its thing. And eventually this Imam becomes shaheed. But this Imam, when you read up on him more and more, you find that he had a very soft spot for Imam Hussein. La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. That they say a person came to him in Mina, Imam Sadiq, and said to him, "I want to recite poetry." He said, "Mina, poetry, this is not the time for these things." He said, No, for Imam Hussein. He said, "Let's set up a majlis." And he put a curtain. He said, "The women, you come as well." And the person started reciting, and everyone's crying and wailing. Imam al-Sadiq is all about his father and grandfather, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. If they took Imam al-Sadiq without a turban, Imam al-Sajjad, they say, as they were parading him through Sham, he says, they were throwing things on our heads. One of these times, they throw ashes on us. And my turban got burnt by these ashes. And the ashes and fire goes through and it burnt my head, but I couldn't put the fire out of my turban because my hands were tied. If Imam al-Sadiq, when he passed away, his students came, Medina was full of mourners and people for him. A day came that there's no one to mourn for Abu Abdullah. It says he said his final farewells to Zainab. He said his final farewells to the camp. And as he goes out, he fights. It reaches a point where he went to a corner, لِيَسْتَرِيحَ سَاعَةً. That Imam al-Hussein went to a corner, he wants to relax a little bit, he wants to regain his energy. As he is sitting there, the stone hits him in the forehead, the blood comes down on his eyes. He takes up his shirt to wipe the blood off, his chest is exposed. They say a 3-pronged arrow came straight into the chest of Abu Abdullah. He knows that if he pulls it from the front, the chest will come out. Ayatollah Jawadi, he says, he bent over and he took the arrow out from the back. All of the blood starts going. Dhul Janah knows it's over. And Dhul Janah takes this Imam and slowly lowers him into the Qatlegah. Before you know it, there is no one to mourn for Hussein. A time comes after some time has passed under the hot sun. His eyes are blacking out. He goes out, he comes back. Eventually, they say that there was a weight on his chest. He opened his eyes, he said, "Who are you?" لَقَدْ ارْتَقَيْتَ مُرْتَقًا عَظِيمًا. You've gone somewhere very lofty, whoever you are that is standing on my chest. وَالشِّمْرُ جَالِسٌ عَلَى صَدْرِهِ. Before you know it, Lady Zainab hears the cries, she hears the laughter, she hears the clapping. فَرُفِعَ عَلَى الْقَنَاةِ رَأْسُ الْحُسَيْنِ. Atop the spears, the head of Hussein. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. يا حسين.